Next question. Yes.
Whatever happened to the Zeo crystals?
Whatever happened? I don't know.
They were shown.
By then I was a little out of the story side. I was more doing the live stuff. I wrote the live international tour that went around the country, and I was getting more involved in the ancillary stuff. So Zeo was kind of an interesting thing that I didn't necessarily agree with, but you know, I wasn't in charge, and they went for it, and it worked. It ended up working. Although we got sued. We got sued for Zeo Crystal. There was a company in Chicago that had a product called Zeo Crystals. And they were little blue crystals that you put in the toilet to make the toilet water clean. And but that's the funny part. They sued us claiming, and they named me in the suit too, which was kind of interesting. But they sued us claiming that not only had we stolen their idea, but we'd stolen all their marketing language too. For toilet crystals? The judge threw the suit out. Next question. All right, no question. Well, go ahead.
So you were involved, or were you involved with like the casting with Samurai, or like?
No, not with Samurai. No, the only thing I did is I did give an opinion on Spike, on the Jason Narby replacement. They did. They did ask my opinion, and I thought he looked good, and I said, well, I think he looks good, but I didn't think
that was my question. Was like how that little. Well, like, is that like a kid, or is that like actually like some like 20-year-old guys that kind of?
I'm sorry. Who do you mean?
Like the new kid. That's like not.
I think he's like 22, 23.
Yeah, because I thought like he's doing like the really like high falsetto voice. And he's kind of like shorter, and I'm like I wasn't sure if he's like a teenager or something, or if he's like actually like in his 20s playing.
No, he's in his 20s. I don't really know him. I never got to meet him. And
okay.
Paulie, I talked to Paulie about him and said, yeah, he's a good kid. I mean, that was so. Okay, any more questions? I'll keep answering. Yes.
A lot of the monsters are just absolutely ridiculous looking. They have this odd amalgamation.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I'm just wondering, when you first got this footage, how did you go, okay, I think he should be this character, maybe we should give him this quirk. How did you decide all that? Because there weren't really...
Well, look, we're talking about the voices and all that stuff? I mean, or...
Like, just the character, like, with the exception of, like, a first state monster where you're like, oh, he should make bag jokes or something like that.
Oh, well, it's just because that's the creative process. That's what you do. You sit around. I mean, sometimes we did it as a group. Often we would have a story meeting with a group of us and decide how we're going to go, what kind of textures it's going to have, and then we'd send a writer off to go do it. A lot of it came right out of the writers. There was an episode where we had to name the characters' last names, and we'd never given any of them last names. And by the way, that's a big deal. We had to go through this huge legal thing to clear these names. But two of the writers, Ronnie Sperling and Jeff Deckman, are actually the ones that gave Bulk and Skull their full names, Farkas Bulkmeyer and Eugene Skulovich. It was because they had to, so they came up with something. Unfortunately, they're good writers, and it stuck. And that's kind of the way it works. Is somebody throws in an idea, it develops, somebody gives a note, you rewrite it, and that's how that sort of stuff happens. We were more freaking out that we had, a turtle with a stoplight coming out of their head. Yes?
So is that how Tommy got his last name, by taking yours?
No, there's a story behind that. Because I didn't know that. They didn't tell me. I didn't see it till it was done. Because at that time I was starting to move on to get ready with the movie and stuff like that. But they thought it would be funny. Ellen Levy-Sarnoff, who was the development executive and who we worked with, she thought it would be funny since it was Tommy, and she says, Tommy Oliver, ooh, that's going to be funny. And they kind of worked it in, and by the time I found out about it, it was not changeable. The problem is there's a personal story with my grandmother on my father's side, who I really never knew, and I didn't get along with. A couple times I met her, she was a real bitch, and she never got my name right. She would always call me Tommy. So it was like, thanks, Ellen, to remind me every day I watch the show. I'm just joking, but no, that's true. That's what she used to call me. And Ellen just laughed. Next, any more questions? All right, let me show you this. This is my two favorite characters in Power Rangers are Bulk and Skull.
Yeah.
They are the ones that I enjoyed writing the most. They both became friends throughout the process, and so for a thing that we did, I recorded a little bit of a montage to them, so I wanted to show you.
I heard your jokes today.
the bench press record's still mine.
You are a bad dream. Let him go, Paul.
Hey, I got this. Take this one. My foot! I bet you I can hit the principal over there. With iron chests and arms of steel, we've got real superhero appeal. We'll protect this city with all our might. Bunkster and Super Skull will set things right. Excuse me, can I have your attention, please? Hey!
Bulky has something to say.
Yes, they really shave their heads. So, by the way, the food fight
Heard your jokes today.
the set never recovered from the food fight. Because they had to move the soundstage. We moved after the earthquake. We had to move from one place to another because it was a big earthquake in the first season. And to the last day, there was still ketchup and mustard stains all along the top of the juice bar set. So.
Wow.
So any other questions? And then I'm going to kind of wrap this up. Okay. If you notice that, by the way, I see some of these people from time to time, and I just saw Walter a few weeks ago, and we had lunch, and he still looks that age. I don't know how he's doing it, but most of them are doing quite well. Amy Jo went on to be on Felicity, and she has another series on CBS. She now lives in Toronto, has a kid, and all that stuff. Twee, of course, the tragedy of Twee being killed in a car accident. It was actually a really odd thing because her funeral was on September 10th, 2001. Yeah. So it was a very odd weekend to get that news. I went to the funeral with my wife. It was weird to go to the funeral. She was Vietnamese, Buddhist. So it was a very interesting experience to go to that. It was down near Disneyland, and I'd taken the day off, and my wife and I decided, well, let's just go have some fun, and we just went down to Disneyland for the afternoon. I came home, and the next morning we woke up to the whole world had changed. So it was a very surreal week, and fortunately for her, she didn't have to experience that part of it. She's in a better place. Jason Narby went on to get his PhD. Austin St. John now works as a paramedic in the Washington, D.C. area, so he went from playing a hero to actually being one. He was actually a second responder to the Pentagon on September 8th. Yeah, second or third response. I haven't kept up with everybody. Walter is still doing television shows and stuff like that. He's actually working on a project with the Jackson family in Africa that's helping a small country kind of build up their economy, and he continues to do television and stuff like that. Who am I missing? David Yost became a producer. He produces reality shows. Temptation Island was his first one, and he continues to do that. I saw him about a year ago at AFO right before he made his interview that got so famous. And he was saying, well, it's terrible, it sucks, but it's work and I enjoy it. So, who else? Did I miss anybody?
Tommy.
Oh, Jason Franks, huge MMA fighter now. He does multi-martial arts fighting. He just won a belt last year. He used to kind of be really strong. He's always been really strong and limber, and this is a guy that can kill you with 2 fingers. But now he's got lots of tattoos. He's all bulked up. He's like, and he still draws, at conventions. Walter's line is, 50 people, and Austin's line might be 50 or 60 people, and Tommy's line goes out the door and wraps around. So everyone continues to do well, and hopefully will continue to in the future. So what I want to do now is I have to stop because I have to go do something in my next panel, but I really want to thank you all for being with us, for being a part of Power Rangers, for helping make what we did work and successful, and because of you guys, my career got better, so thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.